Hey, Justin, you're on with KT.
All right. Hello there, KT.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, you're in Washington, D.C. right now?
I am. We're just parked up in the tour bus by the venue. Beautiful day.
Just relaxing before the big show.
First night of the tour.
Well, there you go. That's always exciting.
Should be great.
I don't know what Paul told you about me, but I'm based out of Portland, Oregon.
Cool.
And I'm interviewing ahead of your show here on, I believe, 28th. They're going to be out here.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait to get back out to Portland. It's always a great show.
And I actually have a few questions about Portland, but I wanted to talk about the new album first, if that's all right.
Yeah.
All right. So the new record, when I listen to it, it's a lot lighter than the other record, the previous effort, Empire. So can you tell me how maybe writing Kin differed from writing Empire, and was this lighter tone intentional?
Was the what intentional?
It's kind of got a lighter tone. Was that intentional?
I suppose it's intentional, but rather than intentional, it's just really a reflection of where I'm at. Mm-hmm. So the last record was written. I started it just before my dad died, and I got divorced, and my whole life turned upside down and inside out, and I finished it after those things had happened. So it was a very tumultuous, difficult, unsure time of my life, and I was glad to make the record at that time. It was very cathartic and a real sanctuary for me to be making music at that time. But it was super emotional, and the first time that I've written a record that was all really the same mood. Like usually my records always have up-tempo stuff all the way down to ballads on them, and then here was this record. So it was a real anomaly for me, the last record. And so in many ways with this record, I'm back to my usual kind of dynamic journey of an album where there will be up-tempo stuff, there will be kind of more relaxed songs, and there will be ballads. And so it's more familiar in that sense. But I think that it's very different, and the writing process is very, very different, where half of the stuff for Empire was written previously, and then quite a lot of it was written a bit in the studio and a bit with Gal once I got out to Arizona. This record, I wasn't even intending on making one. I'd sold everything I owned and moved to Venice Beach, California. And I was intending on taking like 5 or 10 years hiatus from making records. I just felt very, very burnt out, and I didn't really want to enter into that whole process of recording, releasing, promoting, and touring anymore. And I needed a break. And I just wanted to throw everything on the fire. My personal life had gone upside down, and I just wanted to do the same with my work life, to start again. I'd become completely defined by music and being a musician, and I knew that wasn't good. I needed to know who I was away from all of that. So I took some time out. I did the Sundance Film Institute Composers Lab and got more into scoring for movies and writing for movies, and I love working with the film industry. Did it for about a year, and then I was driving a lot around LA and driving through the canyons and listening to Tom Petty and Fleetwood Mac and Joni Mitchell and Neil Young, and that's where they made a lot of their music. And it just seeped into my bloodstream. So a year after cutting ties with making records, I just started writing these really big, robust pop choruses. And I couldn't really ignore it. I just, in the end, just thought, okay, well, if this is what my subconscious wants to do, then we should just do it, because it's material like that doesn't come along every day. And with this record, I very much put the time pressure on myself, because no one knew I was writing. I didn't have management. I didn't tell the label that I'd started to write, or my publisher. And so I just set to making a really, really the greatest record I could make on my own. And I also put quite a lot of time pressure on myself, because I know that I work very well under that pressure.
Excellent. Actually, segues perfectly. I was going to ask you about, because you said you were going to quit the music industry, I think it was 2013. I was going to ask what brought you back, but you already explained that. But are you still working in film? Are you also
what was that?
I'm sorry.
Am I still working in film?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wondered whether it would be something I'd be able to carry on whilst working hard on the new record. And actually, I have found a way of being able to do it. And I recently just wrote some music for the Bad Moms movie with Mila Kunis. The Hangover guys made a new movie. And that was great because the composer, Chris Leonard, got in touch with me and said, would you like to put some vocal arrangements over the top of what I've written? And all I needed was my laptop, some headphones, and a microphone, and I could do that on the tour bus or in hotel rooms, wherever I was. And I think it's good to keep those different creative muscles flexing.
Yeah, I agree. Now going back to Kin, what's your favorite track on the record and why?
I think at the moment it took me so long to get here, but here I am. It's a very blissful song to sing. It's very pleasing in that it's got that kind of slightly more relaxed verse, but then it has a really big banging chorus and it has a halftime section. Quite a thrill to play in terms of all the different elements of it. But I also teach the audience the chorus before I play, so not everyone's heard the song. I mean, more will now that the record's out, but it's been really fun over the summer teaching everyone the chorus. And then seeing people who've never heard the song before all singing along and jumping up and down, and it's really, really cool. And it's such a universal experience of kind of coming of age and finding yourself coming out the end of something difficult into a much lighter, brighter world.
So is it pretty exciting to write something in the studio that translates so well to the stage then?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think in the past I've purposefully thought, I'm not going to think about how we do this live. It's all about just making the best stuff possible in the studio. And I think I've definitely on this record gone back to thinking about how it will be presented live and making sure that we can present it in a really, really cool way.
Well, excellent. Now, there's something I was doing a little research before our interview. I read something that you chose your spelling of your name in part because of the KT event. Is that true? And if so, why?
And the line is a little bit distorted. So what did you say about KT?
I was doing some research that said that you chose your spelling in part because of the KT event, which was responsible for the extinction of the
No, unfortunately that's not true. It was something that I found out after I called myself KT, but I was getting so bored of the question of why I was called KT rather than just Kate that it became a much more interesting answer of saying that I named it after the event that killed the dinosaurs.
Well, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I like dinosaurs.
I just think that I should maybe change my middle name is Victoria, and I think I should just change it to the. So I'm called KT Tunstall.
There you go.
It would just explain everything.
Now, earlier you mentioned you were excited to get back to Portland, and I had some questions about touring. So when you're on tour, do you have much chance to visit the cities that you're in?
Well, it depends on the schedule because sometimes you wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning and you're in town and you don't have anything to do until sound check at 5 o'clock. And those days are great. You can go out. I mean, we all take bikes on tour. Me and the band, some of the band and crew, we bought these great secondhand bikes at this bike shop in Milwaukee, and so we now all have like this kind of array of vintage bikes that we take out on the road. So it's really cool when we have time to go out for a ride or find a trail or I'm also really big on mini golf. So there's an on tour mini golf tournament. Is there a mini golf place in Portland?
Oh, yeah, there's several of them.
Okay, we need to find, we want really crazy ones. So we have a tournament going, so maybe we'll do that. But, sometimes you don't arrive into a city late, maybe till 1 o'clock, and I might have some interviews, and especially with a new record out, sometimes the time is taken up. But you always get a bit of a flavor, and it's really nice to visit somewhere and know if you want to go back. But Portland's always been a favorite stop off on tour for sure.
Well, and I will get Paul some mini golf places you can get for you when you get off the line.
Yeah. And also, you Voodoo Donuts is in Portland, right?
Yes, it is.
Well, see, that's the other thing. So there's these places that enter into rock and roll folklore where you get obsessively excited about Voodoo Donuts. when you get to Portland, because that's what you do.
Well, I was going to ask you what places in Portland you like to visit. You mentioned Voodoo. I mean, are there other haunts you like to visit when you're out here?
Are there what I like to visit?
Other places you like to check out when you're out in Portland?
Oh, well, there was a really, really cool hike I went on with a friend just outside Portland, and I can't remember it was, but we went skinny dipping in the river, and it was just one of the most beautiful days. And the scenery and topography of Oregon is just one of the most beautiful places on the planet. So
right.
any opportunity to go and see some of the nature surrounding Portland is where I'll be.
It might be a little cold to skinny dip when you're out here in a few weeks, though.
Well, I mean, now I've told people that I do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, they might be looking for it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Don't want to draw attention to yourself. And actually, I don't know if you've been to Powell's Books or anything, but if you're a book person, that's a great place to check out. And they also have
what's it called?
Powell's Books, and then right around the corner there's an actual record store that sells records.
Oh, well, absolutely, 100% up for going to the record store, definitely.
Yeah, they're a dying breed. And now then back to touring a little bit. What's the best part of touring, and then what's the toughest part?
The best part of touring has to be just connecting with people across the country and just stopping in all these different places with their different characters and different tastes and backgrounds and all of that stuff, and just connecting with fans, sometimes people who haven't seen you for a while, sometimes people who've never seen you before, and just that kind of feeling that you're plugging into a community of people who love what you do, and you're hitting all these different places, and there's a real deep feeling of connectivity between people when I'm on tour. I guess the toughest part is home comforts, just being away from home and not, missing friends and family, and I just love my life in Venice Beach. I get up in the morning, I eat my breakfast on my porch, I get on my bike and cycle down to Abbot Kinney and get a juice, and it's a beautiful place to live, and I do miss home.
Well, yeah, my dad's a musician. I grew up on the road, so I know how that goes too.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but when you aren't at home or on the road, how do you spend your time? You mentioned hiking and nature. Are there other things that you like to do?
I mean, days off, I'm a huge movie fan, so I would always vote to go to the movies. And, it can be pretty tiring it's pretty exhausting being on the road. You have to look after yourself a bit. And so I tend not to put too much pressure on myself to do anything, because the important thing is the show.
Right.
So, if I'm feeling a little worn out, then the most important thing to do is just chill the fuck out and put on a really good show that night. But definitely, I mean, for me, especially when we're traveling all the time, nature is like medicine for me. I will even just get to a local park and take a walk. But I love taking a look around towns, and I'm also, on the right day, a total fan of going shopping as well. So I'll find some interesting stores, and I love vintage stores, and like you said, record stores are always fun.
Well, you're going to love Portland.
I have done in the past. I must have been to Portland I don't know, 10 times or something, and I love it. But I've also got a terrible memory, so it's like I can enjoy things for the second time as if I've never done them before.
Well, I'm going to be reviewing your show on the 28th as well, and I'm trying to get Paul if there's time for us to meet beforehand. But if you want any places to go, get in touch with me and I'll find them. I've lived through my whole life, so I know.
Well, sure. I mean, we're always up for really good food. It's great to find great places to eat.
Yeah. Well, what kind of food?
But like you said, the record store recommendation is great.
Excellent. Well, I can certainly find stuff. Whether you need a tour guide or you just want me to send Paul stuff over, let me know.
Thank you. That's really kind.
Wednesdays are my day off, so it works out.
Wicked. Thank you.
And then just a couple more questions. Most of my audience, I'm in my mid-30s, but most of my audience is younger, late teens, 20s, college age. So what advice would you have for people like that are aspiring or even struggling artists, in terms of getting where they want to be in the field, the creative fields?
Well, I think that there's a lot to be said for gaining experience. So I think, first of all, there's that 10,000 hours theory, isn't there? That if you do anything for 10,000 hours, then you're likely to succeed at doing it because you become so proficient at it. For me, I mean, I gigged for probably 15 years before I got my record deal. So by the time I got the deal, I really knew what I was doing. I mean, I've still evolved and improved massively over the 12 years of professional gigging, but you'll be striving constantly for opportunities to be heard and to be seen. And there's no point in having those opportunities if you don't really blow people out of the water and own the moment that you're given. So it's essential that you rehearse and practice and get out there and gig and do shows, whether it be stand-up comedy, whether it be acting, whether it be whatever, but get experience in front of an audience so that by the time you get an opportunity that it can actually propel you in a career way, you knock it out of the park.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great advice. Now, I've got one more question, and it's kind of a fun one. Hopefully these have all been fun, but this one... I'm in my office here, and I got my 2 dogs on the couch, and they've been very good. Usually they bark. So I wanted to ask you what your favorite animal was.
My favorite animal?
Yeah.
That's an amazing question. Let me think now. I have to say, I think it's a puppy.
Oh, of course.
I mean, basically, if you're talking favorite animals, it's baby animals. If I was God for a day, I would just make animals never grow up, and they would just always be babies.
Oh, me too.
And there's just nothing that much finer than a baby dog.
No,
But if I was looking at animals, like more exotic animals, I love bats. I think bats are super cool. Yeah.
You know, I love bats too, and my wife thought they were creepy till I explained how cool they were.
They're so cool.
If you get a chance to visit our zoo, we have a great bat exhibit.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so we got everything you want out here, it sounds like.
Sounds like it.
Maybe not the year-round sun like Venice Beach, but other than that, we're all set.
No, it's nice to be somewhere different, for sure.
There you go. Well, Katie, that's all I had for you. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I suppose just that for me, this record's really important because I've written the whole thing myself. And usually I would sort of do some co-writing with other people. There'd maybe be like 2, 3, or 4 tracks on the record that I've written with other people. And as much as I think that I can write really good songs with other people, there's something about the dilution of the creativity that takes a little bit of the emotion away to a degree. And so it's really important for me that this record I've written entirely on my own, apart from one track which is with James Bay, who I love and is just a phenomenal talent, and I'm very, very pleased to have him on the record, and we do a duet, which was a joy to work on, despite the fact that he has nicer hair than me.
Well, I've been listening to the record a lot, and actually I was thinking about Empire. You do a cover of Boys of Summer, which is one of my favorite songs. Is this a song?
Oh, cool.
You do that song live, too?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll do it on the 28th.
Yeah, I'll try and remember. I will. Okay.
Well, thank you for your time, Katie.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.